at the time when Timothy McVeigh decided to blow up the federal building in Oklahoma City, he started to write me letters, and I wrote him back, and he was a brilliant kid, very interested in law, would have been made a good constitutional lawyer, and a patriot. He's a professional soldier. But he has to be depicted as a monster, because who else would blow up little children? But he didn't know he was blowing up any little children. He was acting out of a fit of rage at what had happened at Waco. And that whole religious community was set fire to by the army. And as a soldier, he thought to himself, you see, the one thing that divides our country from being another militarized republic, it is not only due process of law, but it is also the Posse Comitatus Act of 1875, which the Army may not be used in any action against the citizens of the United States. And they just wandered, bang, bang, they set fire to the place, burned down more children and mothers and so on than ever Mr. McVeigh did. So at that time, it happened during the, must have been, what's her name? Janet Reno, when she was Attorney General. It was during Clinton's watch, which was a sloppy one. And they got some panicky legislation because they thought, and with some reason, that there was a group of people, many of them ex-soldiers, who were ready to overthrow the government. And they were anti-Semites, they were, I mean, anything you can think of, they were that. They were in rebellion against this country. And I wrote about it in warning terms. I went so far as to write Mr. Mueller, who was the new director of the FBI. And I saw he was never going to follow up. They did all these interviews with various guys living in the woods around Fort Hood. I said, they're going to be trouble one day. And you don't even follow up on them? Yet you go on inventing stuff about McVeigh, which isn't true. They tried to pretend he was a crazy and this and that. Well, he got the Silver Star, I think it was. And,
Persian Gulf War.
Yeah. So the coup d'etat comes out of this. They saw their chance. They, Cheney, Bush, they wanted a war. They're oil men. They want a war in which they'll get more oil. I mean, they're also extraordinarily stupid. These people don't know anything about anything. But they have this, it was a thick piece of, sheet of, a thick series of actions to be taken. Among others, I think one of them was to lock up every person of color in the United States in order to protect us from the enemy within. It was evil stuff. So they latched on to that. I guess Mr. Gonzalez was already in place by then. And that was the coup d'etat. They seized the state. And from that moment on, they were appointing all the judges. They were doing this, they were doing that. They got rid of Magna Carta. I will not explain what that is a second time. And they broke the republic.
The role of torture?
Well, everything was in there, yes. The USA Patriot Act is just the unnatural child of the Clinton, oh, we got to do something about these wild men in Montana.
Author Gore Vidal. We'll come back to our conversation with the writer, his memoir, Point-to-Point Navigation, among his books, Imperial America, in a moment.
Two planes are flying across the country now. New York's so pretty in the fall. Hey, Mike, look out, But Mac calls back, Billy, I'll be careful. I'm sure they built them to stand so tall. And now 19 miles to Baghdad, they fall and were called to tie a yellow ribbon around something, as if something good had begun. But we'll tie a yellow ribbon around something.
Lizzie West singing 19 Miles to Baghdad live in Columbia, Missouri, when Democracy Now! Is on its Standing Up to the Madness tour. I'm Amy Goodman as we return to the second part of my conversation with Gore Vidal as we sat at his home in Hollywood Hills, his walls bedecked with photos of history. Gore Vidal has authored more than 20 novels, 5 plays, his latest book, his memoir, Point to Point Navigation.
How did we get to be so hated, Gore Vidal?
Well, there are many odious traits that Americans have, which the rest of the world doesn't like. Constant boasting, with not much to boast about. That gets on other people's nerves. The idea that somehow or other the whole world belongs to us, and everybody should do what we tell them to do. You don't really like that. Weird, but they don't. There's never been a people less suited for world dominion than the Americans of the 20th century and 21st centuries. Henry James was very good on that subject. At the time of the Spanish-American War, he was violently against that war and saw it as the beginning of imperialism, and he was not an imperialist. And he said, you know, where empire civilized the British, empire will corrupt us even more. And we will extend the reign of Tammany Hall to every island country on earth.
Do you think we're going to pull out of this today?
Well, not today. Bush has arranged it so it can be dragged on for a long time now. And nobody's asked, is Petraeus a good general? I mean, he's been given lots of stars, but that's what an ignorant president would do when he wants a general to do things that maybe the general thinks are unwise. You'll get 4 stars for this, general. That's the way they play the game.
Do you think Iraq saved Latin America? We're seeing a major shift in Latin America.
Well, I'm something of a fan of Chavez. He's just what certainly Venezuela needed, and he's continuing, in a sense, the reforms of Castro. But you must remember, I know too much about media to be taken in by anything that most people read about Castro. He's got people in prison. Well, yeah, a lot of rich people lost their money and they're very angry, so they exaggerate his crimes. But he never came up with Abu Ghraib. We did that because we were fighting for democracy everywhere. So important to bring all this League of Nations together. Now, any dum-dum president, this is a guy who could not be a freshman at Swarthmore. His brain's too feeble, and there's no information in his head. To take him seriously is the biggest insult to the American people. He should not have been president. Fascinating. You remember when his father broke down in tears on television?
Yes.
Well, it was guilt. It was intended by that not particularly royal family that Jeb, by then governor of Florida, would run for president in that slot when W ran. And Jeb would be easily elected. He's an intelligent person and a source of pride for the Bush family. Then the Black Prince breaks out of order and goes after it and gets it.